Hello, Malcolm Fisher with another video, and in this video we're going to look at the KBMz Kneeboard DDS Manager, and in this part 2 we're going to look at how to set up and configure the application, and then how to create, copy, delete and manage the Kneeboard packs as I described them. And if you haven't watched part 1 of the video, I suggest you do so. It's quite a short video, but it gives some context to what we're going to be talking about now. The KBM, and you can see I've got two versions, one for each version of BMS that I have installed. And the tool will support multiple versions of BMS once you have separate instances of them and you're pointing to the different versions. Once also the BMS version supports the 32-page Kneeboard layout. So with that in mind, let's open the application. And I'm going to type in, it looks for the version that you want to use it with, version 436 in this case. And then it looks for the location for the weapons delivery planner. Press OK to that. And now the application is configured, and you can see we're currently set in, the game is currently set to Korea KTO. There's where the weapons delivery planner is, and we're currently using 4.36. It's worth noting that it does have a dependency on the weapons delivery planner, and it's not a replacement for the delivery planner, because the weapons delivery planner is an excellent tool for managing the creation of the DDS files. All this tool does is it copies out those DDS files into a location where you can easily restore them and structure them. So with that in mind, let's now look at the first pack, and what we're going to do is we're going to what we describe as create a pack. And essentially what this does, it takes a pack out of the current Korea objects theater, a pack of those DDS files, and it places them in a local repository that this utility creates. So let's do this very quickly. We're in the KTO, and we're going to create a pack, and we're going to call it test. And you can see what it's done is it's done two things. It's created a pack on our list here, and it's also opened what I describe as the repository. And let's look at the structure of the repository. If we go back a couple of levels up here, you can see that it's stored in C users, your username, application data and roaming, and it's under BMS, the version of BMS followed by Kneeboards. So you can see I have two versions for the two versions of the install. So if I open that, we can see we've got 3 theaters named here, and in here, if we look at the theaters in the application, you can see it's got the same 3. So it's actually gone and looked at BMS install and picked out from the theater definition file, picked out the applications that are loaded. Now it does check for the location of the Korea objects folder associated with that theater in the list, and if that theater in the list doesn't have the Korea objects folder in the correct path, it doesn't get on this list. And if we look here at the DDS BMS folder and we open that, we can see it's pointing to the Korean object folder for that creator. In this case it's KTO, so it's the base data, Teradata objects Korea objects there. And if I change that, if I change the theater, move to the Balkans, and I have a look at this folder, you can see it now, it's the add-ons folder for the Balkans. So you can see that this is the name of the theater that the tool takes, and it's got to have this Teradata objects and Korea objects folder where the DDS files are. If it doesn't find that folder, there's little point in having the tool pointing to pointing anywhere, because it's actually here that we find these DDS files that we're looking for. And I can demonstrate this by just opening this folder, and you can see if we type in 7982, I'm going to close that out, and if we search for 7982, you can see it's found that DDS file. Let's go back to Korea, and now we have our pack saved, and you can see there's nothing in our pack. This setup file comes from the weapons delivery planner, and it contains the information about how the Kneeboard is set up. So if you want to modify in the Weapons Delivery Planner, when you restore the pack, it restores these DDS files to the correct Korea objects folder, and it restores this one into the Weapons Delivery Planner folder. So we'll close that back now, and I'm going to delete this pack because we don't need it. Remember, what's in the Korea objects folder is exactly what we've seen here, so I don't need it for the moment, because what I need to do is I need to create what I call a base theater pack. So I'm going to delete that, and then we're going to open the Weapons Delivery Planner, and we're going to use a Weapons Delivery Planner to create the base theater pack. And this pack is going to contain all the pages that I will use no matter what theater I'm using in the game. So things like checklists I'm going to have in this pack. So let's update the Kneeboard. Well, you can see we're currently in Korea, which is fine. So let's update the Kneeboard, and it is important that you do two checks here. You make sure when you press the file open, it opens in the correct campaign folder. That's important, and also that you're currently selected to the current theater that you want to start this with. And I would normally start with Korea KTO as the base pack, and then you copy that out to the different theaters. I'm going to update the Kneeboard now. So I'm going to start building a Kneeboard on what I call a base pack, and I'm going to start on the right hand side. You do this the way you want it, but this is the way I like to configure it. So I'm going to browse to my folders. So Korea. Actually going to keep that path somewhere handy for me, because we're going to use it in a little while, and I'm going to navigate to where I have my Kneeboard stuff. So it's KBMz Kneeboards, and it's checklists that I want. So I'm going to start putting these checklists into let's just check. Yes, that's startup. So I'm going to cancel from that. So I'm going to start putting those checklists into the Kneeboard, and you can see what I've done here. I've left the data card left and right fixed for 1 left and right, map is 2 left, and intel briefing is 2 right. And these are mission specific information. I don't put any additional mission specific information except these 4 charts. And the rest of the stuff will be used. It'll be a combination of checklists, special information for the theater, or if it's an airbase, the charts for that airbase. So I'm going to start on here. I'm going to browse the pictures, and I'm going to choose number 1. And I'm going to make this as 16 right. And I have a couple more sheets that I need here. I'm going to check this one. And the threat chart. Okay, and finally on the left hand side, I'm going to put in my button box, and I'm going to put that right at the bottom because it's something I don't need so often. Okay, and I'm going to save that now, and now I can close out of this. And what that's done now is it's saved the DDS files in the Korean objects folder for the Korea theater. So now what I need to do is make a pack of that, and by creating a pack, and I'm going to call it base theater, it's going to copy those files out into our local pack in our repository, and it opens the folder where it is. You can see Kneeboards, KTO, base theater, and it's got, you can see all the checklists that I need, and I'm going to do a quick check of those. So I've checked that now, and that looks like a decent base theater pack. Notice we don't have any mission specific information here. These are blank, and that's the way I want it. So I'm going to close out from that. And now what I can do is I can take this base theater pack, and within this theater, what I can do is I can build up airbase packs, and from an airbase pack I can build up a mission pack. I can also take this base theater pack and copy it out to different theaters, and that's what I'm going to do first, and then we'll come back to this theater. So I'm going to copy this out to the Balkans theater first of all, And you can see there's nothing in the Balkans theater, so I'm going back to KTO, and there's nothing in Israel either. So I'm going to go back to KTO. I'm going to select it, and then I choose copy the pack out. Select a different theater. So we have to select the theater, the destination theater down here. So I'm going to select Balkans, copy the pack out, and then I'm going to select Israel, and I'm going to copy the pack out to there. So now that those packs are copied out, I can now, let's say I want to change the theater. So let's say I want to change the theater. I can restore this pack. If I double click on it, I can see it. So it's exactly the same as we had for the base theater pack. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to restore this back into the Create Objects folder for the KTO theater. And I'm going to choose that. And before I do that, I'm going to also change the BMS game theater. So I'm going to do the two together so we can look at them in the one place. Now that's done, what I can do is open the Weapon Delivery Planner. And this should now be pointing to the Israel theater. And if I just choose File, we can see when you open, it drills down to the Israel add-on campaign folder. So we don't have to make any adjustments, well, the minimum of adjustments needed on the Weapons Delivery Planner. So, and if we look at the Kneeboard, we can see it contains the selected pictures that we had in already from the KTO theater. So I'm happy that those packs have been spread out into the different theaters, and now we're going to go back to KTO, and I'm going to change the base theater, and I'm going to restore the base theater pack. And it tells me I must close the Weapons Delivery Planner before I do that. And the reason is because the setup ini file that's been copied back to the Weapons Delivery Planner or copied out of it, it needs to be updated, and it only gets updated after the Weapons Delivery Planner closes. So let's choose Restore here, and it's going to overwrite that. And we can see that the theater now is back to the Korea KTO. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make an Airbase theater. And I'm going to use Yishan as the Airbase. And we're going to go back to the Weapons Delivery Planner, which contains now which is pointing now to the Korea KTO theater. And we can see that from up above. And now I'm going to update the Kneeboard. So I'm going to browse pictures, and this is where I've saved my path here. South Korea, so we're going to choose Yishan. And we're going to now insert these, and I'm going to insert them from number 3 down. This is where I like my Kneeboard charts. I'm not going to insert those, I don't need them. We have 4 charts in there, and just finally I'll do a quick check to make sure they're all different, so I haven't copied or duplicated anything. I'm going to save that, and now this is what I describe as an Airbase chart, an Airbase pack. And so with an Airbase pack, what you can do is if you want to fly any mission out of that Airbase, it's simply a matter of loading up that pack first of all, and then going into the Weapons Delivery Planner and updating Weapons Delivery Planner with your mission. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to create that pack, and I'm going to call it Yishan. Okay, and you can see when Yishan opens there, you can see it's the same as the base theater pack with the exception of these 4 charts now it's got in. So you can hopefully see the hierarchy that I'm generating, and you could generate a number of different packs for different air bases that you might be regularly flying out of. And now the situation is, once you've got these packs made up, let's say you want to come back, and let's say you want to fly from Yishan, you want to fly a mission from Yishan. Before you jump into the game, or you can maybe even be in the game, but before you select the mission, what you can do is you can select that, restore it to BMS, And then you can use the Weapons Delivery Planner or something like Easy Boards to create your briefing, the briefing parts of the Kneeboard. I like to use the Weapons Delivery Planner, and all I do is I load the file, the mission file. In this case, I'm going to load Fish 001 and select Plasma 7, and you can see it's Plasma 7 out of Yishan. Once I've done that, I just need to update the Kneeboard to include the briefing data, and then I can close my pack. Now, you may or may not want to, but you could now make a mission pack. But if it's a mission that you're not going to reuse, there's little point in that. But you can if it's a training mission, for instance. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to create a pack, and I'm going to call it Fish. Okay, and it opens and tells us what it is. And you notice the difference there. You can see it's Yishan and Plasma 7 there. So we've got a good pack made up for that mission. So let's just move on to another theatre and just do this one more time to demonstrate how it works for another theatre and how we can easily switch back from one theatre to another. Okay, so before I make up an Airbase pack for the Balkans, what I'm going to do is I'm modifying my base theatre, because my base theatre in the Balkans is going to be slightly different from the Israel and the KTO theatre, and the information that I put into that pack is going to be used throughout any of my Balkan missions. Okay, we've restored our base theatre pack into the Balkans. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this theatre ever so slightly. The way I'm going to do this, I'm going to go into the Weapons Delivery Planner. It should open up in the Balkans. And I'm going to go to our Kneeboards. And I'm going to go to our Browse. And we have our charts here. And these are the Airbase charts, a summary. And I'm going to use these because I need these for the Balkans. So I'm going to click on these, and where I'm going to put these, I'm going to put these in 5 and 6. I'm going to put that one in 5, and I'll put that one in 6. And I'm going to save that pack now. Close the Kneeboard Manager, and I'm going to delete this old pack. And then I'm going to create the new one. And it opens, and we can see we've got the extra 2 charts. These are only specific for the Balkans. But now I'm going to make an Airbase chart, and I'm going to make an Airbase for Ranchi, and then I'm going to fly a mission from Ranchi. And I'm going to update our Kneeboard. And browse to the Balkans charts, and it's Ranchi, the Legionary, 1 of 2 and 2 of 2. So I'm going to put those in 3 and 4 left. And I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to create the pack. And we look at the charts. We can see they're in the Ranchi pack. And now finally I'm going to run a mission from this. And if I was running a mission, what I do is I'd need to load in the mission data. And this is done through the Weapons Delivery Planner, as I said, or Easy Boards if that's what you use. And I'm going to find our mission. I'm going to choose Fish 004 SA2. It's Mudhen 6 out of Ranchi, and have all the information there. Once the mission is updated, now we need to update that briefing onto the Kneeboard. And now we're ready to fly. Now we're in the pit, we can look at the kneeboard and we can see we have mud hem 6 at our on G, and if we cycle through we can see we have our Airbase chart, which is what we need, and on the right hand side we have our specific theatre charts here, and then we have our general checklists and kneeboard information. So let's exit this. And now before we leave this, what we can do, we don't need to do it, but we can do is to make a mission pack for this. And all we need to do is click on create mission pack. And I know it's 004 SA2. And this is the mission that I would use for training, so it's worthwhile having this. And we can see the mission is open. You can see the mission briefing specific information on the first two charts, and the rest of it is as we had in the Ranchi charts. Now you could have one of these for Eviano, for Brindisi, Sigonella, any of the air bases that you would use regularly, and it's a lot easier to just load that up rather than have to go through and load your charts in every time. Once it's made up once, you're pretty much done. So finally, I'm going to now jump back into the mission, show you how easy it is to swap over from one mission to the next without having to make any adjustments to Weapons Delivery Planner. I'm going to swap back over to KTO, and we're going to load up the Fish 001 CBU. I'm going to change the mission, the game theatre, and I'm going to choose restore and follow through. And once that's done, let's go back into the game. Now let's have a look at our kneeboard, and we can see now our plasma from Yishan. And if we cycle through this, we can see our Yishan charts are in there without having to do anything else except restore the pack. And on the right hand side we can see the theatre specific charts are gone away, and we only have the general checklists and kneeboard information. So finally, the other couple of features here is the setup file. As we discussed briefly, the setup file, you can see for every pack a setup file gets saved, and this is the configuration details from the Weapons Delivery Planner. So when you restore the pack, you restore the setup ini file, and this makes sure that your Weapons Delivery Planner is already configured for the theatre and the folder where you want to search for your mission files. If you don't want to restore this and you want to leave the Weapons Delivery Planner configured as it is, and the only thing you want to do is restore the packs, because remember, the only thing the game is concerned about is these DDS packs in the Korea Objects folder. So by restoring, by unticking this box here, you can restore the pack without this setup ini file. And also when you're creating a pack, you can create a pack. I'm going to just create a test pack here. It will create the test pack without the setup ini file. So once again, these can be restored without the setup ini file. Finally, the shortlist. The shortlist takes away the first two DDS files, which are the ones that I currently use for the briefing information. And so if you don't want to, if you only want to restore the pack without the briefing information, you can create a pack without that, and you can restore just those pages. So if I create a shortlist in this way, and I say create a pack, once again, we call it test 2, you can see, and I press OK to that, you can see it's called short test. And now if you look at it, you can see the difference between test and short test. You can see that the DDS pack starts with 7984 instead of 7982. On this side, you can see by using these two buttons, you can navigate to the folder to see what DDS files are in there. So the DDS folder is the currently selected. You can see it takes us to the current Korea KTO theatre folder, and you can then look into the DDS packs in that folder. And finally, the BMS DDS, you've looked at that earlier. It takes you to the Create Objects folder for the currently selected theater. It's important to know that this is the theater that the application is looking at, and this is the one that the BMS game is set to. Okay, I want to now describe an update that's been made since I made the core video to the application, and this doesn't affect the functionality of the application in any way. In fact, it enhances it. Instead of storing the DDS files raw in a folder structure, they're now held in zip files. So if we have a quick look at any of these packs, let's say we want to view a pack. Originally, when you view the pack, it would open into the directory structure and show the packs. Now what it does is it opens a zip file and copies the packs, or copies the DDS files out into a pack viewer location. And if we look at the parent folder structure, it now starts off as KBMz, and within that we have the versions of the Kneeboard packs depending on the versions of BMS that you've got installed. You could have two here if you wanted to, for instance, for BMS 435 or 436. And if we drill down into that, we can see the folder structure for the theaters is exactly the same, and we can see it matches our theaters here from within the application. And there's one additional folder here called the pack viewer, and the pack viewer now is the place that's used to display the packs, and it also uses to manage the packs. So when a pack has been copied, for instance, out of BMS into the Kneeboard Manager repository, what happens is it's copied into this location and then zipped up from this location and created, or that zip file then is copied under the folder structure. So if we go back one step here and we look, and we can see the KTO as it is there, we open it, you can see that the same list applies. Instead of having a folder or a subfolder here under the Kneeboards or under KTO, we can see we just have the zip file. And if I open the zip file, you can see it contains the pack of 16 DDS files and the setup ini file. If you want to change the file, what you don't do is you don't do it in the pack viewer, because this is only a temporary location. You can drill back to the theater you're looking at, the KTO for instance here, and you can pick out a file here, and you could, for instance, you could copy or paste a file into the zip folder. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video useful and interesting, and please feel free to like, dislike, comment, subscribe, and until the next time, this is Fish Out.